Everybody, it's Eli with Envi Essential Eyecare Instruments. Today I'm going to be walking you through the installation process for your new Envi Enview digital imaging slit lamp system. All right, we're going to start the install and pretend like we're not installing a digital slit lamp. We're just going to treat this as a traditional regular old slit lamp. So when you get that first box unpacked, this is everything you're going to have in it. You've got your table over here, which I've already got on the stand just because lack of space here on this table. And then over here you'll see you've got your chin rest, and then the chin rest mounting plate, as well as your rail covers. You'll have your accessory bag, which will have all the parts and tools you'll need to complete the install. We've got our power transformer here, binoculars for the slit lamp, and then the actual slit lamp body itself. All right, step number one is going to be mounting your transformer to the bottom of your slit lamp table. So I've already popped it off the stand over here. And one thing to note when you're installing the transformer is whether you have a left or right-handed room. The table will be pre-drilled to put the transformer on either side, but just keep that in mind before you put your transformer on. Mine's just going to be a right-handed room, so we're going to go over here on the left side of the table. And you just line those pre-drilled holes up. And as I mentioned earlier, all the tools you'll need to complete the install are included in the bag, but I'm just going to use a drill just to speed up the process a little bit. Now that we've got our transformer on, we can go ahead and flip our table back over and go ahead and pop it on our stand, and that'll be good for now. All right, now that we've got our table all mounted up onto the stand, our next step is going to be to install the chin rest onto the chin rest plate. And the way that this works is it just sits on top here, and then we've got 4 bolts that we're going to screw in from the bottom. So what I like to do for this step is we'll go ahead and take this plate, flip it over, and then you're going to want to make sure it's hanging off the edge of the table a little bit. So that way you can take your chin rest, hold it up from the bottom, and then you'll take these 4 black Allen head screws, and then you will tighten those with your Allen wrench provided in your toolkit. All right, now that we have our chin rest attached to our chin rest plate, we can go ahead and bring it over to our slit lamp table. This plate is going to be attached to the table with 3 wood screws, and the holes for that plate will already be pre-drilled into your slit lamp table, so you don't have to play any guessing games. So you'll literally just set the plate on the table and align the holes. You'll have 2 up here, and then your 3rd hole is going to be under this white plate. And you get to that 3rd hole by removing these 4 Phillips head screws, and then you're going to want to use a flathead screwdriver to kind of help pop that out, because it can be a little difficult if you just try and use your hands or your fingers. Now that our table assembly is complete, we can go ahead and grab our slit lamp body, and we'll just set it on the table. One important step when you're putting the slit lamp on the table is you want to make sure it's sitting straight within the rails. So the way I like to check this is bring your slit lamp all the way up here to the front of the plate, or even the front of the table, and then you can kind of see that it's sitting flush and it's not at an angle or anything, but you just want to make sure it's sitting in the correct position on the rails, so your slit lamp moves smooth in and out and left and right. All right, our next step in installing the slit lamp is going to be to put our binoculars on. Now, one thing you'll need to note when you're putting your binoculars on, you'll see on the actual binocular, there's this little notch here, and then there's this post here, and that's going to be your alignment for when you're putting your binoculars on. And so basically what you want to do is you want to start with them kind of tilted down, and you'll get that notch lined up, and then the bottom will go in first, and then the top. And then right here on top of the slit lamp is a little Allen wrench, and you'll just use that to tighten that down. And your binoculars are good to go now. And then next step will be to install your rail covers, which they just pop on. So again, you kind of start them tilted back and then just push down, and they'll snap into place. And you'll just do the same thing on the other side. All right, so the next step will be plugging in our 2 connectors. This top one is going to be your main light source. So we'll just plug that into the top of the bulb cap like so. And then the second plug is going to be for your infrared light, which is located right here on the back of the tower. And that just pops in from the top. All right, the last step of the slit lamp install will be plugging in the 3 connectors that run from the slit lamp to the back of the transformer. You'll have 2 of these silver plugs. You can't get them backwards because one has a center pin and the one on the left doesn't have a center pin. And another thing to note on these is they have these alignment tabs on the actual connector itself. So when you go to plug those in, you just need to make sure you have those tabs lined up. And you can just kind of twist it in a circle until it finds its home. There we go. And you'll just twist down that silver ring to lock it in place. And then we'll do the same for the second silver connector. And then lastly is just a standard USB plug that goes in down here. And while we're down here, we can go ahead and plug in our power cord. All right, here's everything that'll be included in the second box, and this all has to do with the software and computer for the digital imaging system. So you'll have a couple cables, USB cable, HDMI cable. This is the pole mount for the monitor, your PC, the monitor itself, and then you also have your keyboard and mouse as well. All right, so here's the PC that comes with the Envi Enview. Super compact, easy to hide. There's a couple different things you can do with the PC. Here you can see we have one of our stands that comes with an accessory tray. So a lot of the ones we install, we'll just leave the PC right here. Another option is you can get some double-sided Velcro and mount it to the bottom of the PC and then mount it to your back of your stand. So again, there's a couple different ways you can mount this. It's just kind of whatever fits best in your workflow and that kind of thing. But just for the case of this install, we're just gonna leave the PC right here on this accessory tray. Next, we're gonna put the mount for the monitor that goes onto your stand. And the way this works is it's just a little clamping mechanism. There'll be 2 bolts on the bottom and top. And so you'll just take those, you'll clamp it around, and then you just put that, and then you'll put your 4 bolts back in to clamp it back to the stand. Once you get the 2 clamps on, I'd say the height you want to put this is about 6 to 8, maybe 10 inches from the top of your stand. You do have flexibility because it's a full motion mount, but you want to give yourself enough room to not interfere with your 4-opter, and then you can use it for a couple days, and if you notice like, hey, maybe the monitor's a little too high or a little too low, you can just always loosen these Allens and adjust either way, up or down. All right, now that we have our mount secured to the stand pole, we can go ahead and throw our monitor on. Now this half of the TV mount will already be included on the back of the monitor, so you won't have to do anything there. But if you'll notice here on the actual mount, you have these 3 little pegs. There will be 3 corresponding holes on the mount on the back of the monitor. And so the way this is done, you want to tilt the monitor back, line up those 3 holes, and then it just kind of falls down into place. And then we have 2 little Phillips head screws. One will go on either side. I'll just show one because you have to swing the monitor all the way around to access the other one. But this just keeps the monitor from ever falling off, and it also keeps it from rotating when you're moving your monitor. The most important step of the install process, as you'll see here, this USB plug is blue. And then you'll also see on the back of the computer, there's blue USB ports as well. And basically all that means is it's a high-speed USB port. So if you don't plug this USB cord into one of these blue USB ports, you may run into some issues with the connectivity between the slit lamp and the computer. So again, just make sure you plug in that blue USB into the blue USB port. Our next step is going to be to grab your HDMI cable. This step is super simple because you're just going from the back of your monitor and then over to our PC. And then you just want to get that HDMI cable out of your way, and that's all good. All right, as you can see, we're back here under the slit lamp table looking at the back side of the transformer again. That blue USB plug we just plugged into the back of the computer. The other end of that is going to plug in down here in the back of the transformer. And that cable is the communication between the slit lamp camera and the computer itself. It's how all data is transferred, how your live video feed is transferred. So again, just want to make an emphasis on that blue USB port for the blue USB plug. All right, so now that we've got all our connections done from the slit lamp to the computer, one thing to note is this cable that we just plugged in. The best way to do it is to kind of run it down your slit lamp arm. And one thing you can do, there's a couple of them included with the slit lamp, but you can also get these at Home Depot. It's just a little adhesive backing, and then you run a zip tie it to secure the cable. So I would typically put them on the inside of the slit lamp arm just so you hide that cable as much as possible. And then the last thing to note on the install is our keyboard and mouse. All you have to do is plug the dongle into the PC, which I've already done. And one thing we notice that a lot of our customers do is keeping the mouse on the slit lamp table. It's not absolutely required by any means, but if you already have all your patient info in the software, then there's no need for you to need the keyboard. But for basic operation of the software, it helps to have the mouse handy, so a lot of people like to keep it on their slit lamp tabletop. We have successfully completed the installation of our Envi Enview digital imaging slit lamp. Now that we have everything powered on, we can just go in and make sure that we didn't make any mistakes in our install. So we'll open the software, which is named CCD. You'll see it over on the left-hand side of the desktop. And this is what it'll look like when it boots up. We already put a couple test patients in here when we're doing our final QC. So I'll just click on one of those. And then up here at the top, we'll have our capture button. And we'll just go ahead and click that. We get our successful initialization message, which means we've completed this install correctly and accurately. So your Envi Enview is officially installed. That's a step-by-step installation on your new Envi Enview digital imaging slit lamp system. Hopefully this video helped your install go smooth. If you do have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to our team. We'd be happy to help you, and thanks for watching.